Welcome back and thanks for staying with the SABC. Let's continue reflecting on the 2-year anniversary of the Enyobeni Tavern Tragedy. And for that, let's bring in now the convener of the National Liquor Traders Association, that's like Ntimane, who joins us via our video link. Great to have you with us, sir. Thanks very much indeed for your time. So much has been said since this day about 2 years ago around what went wrong and how we can prevent a repeat of it. In what ways do you reckon this tragedy has had an impact on the industry?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Firstly, we would like to continue to send our heartfelt condolences to those families that have lost their loved ones in a tragedy that was wholly preventable, which the outlet owner in Enyobeni Tavern decided to put the profits ahead of the lives of the people there, and in fact admitted people that were not supposed to be in that space. Hence, we continue to say that, it shouldn't be that we mention kids and the tavern in the same sentence. But we are also saying that, we call on government to level up with the families so that it can be closure. Yes, it is 2 years that we observe, the tragic incident of Enyobeni Tavern, but there hasn't been any closure on the families. They still continue, to go to sleep with questions lingering in their minds as to what happened to their loved ones. So I think, the first step as a way of, respecting this momentous occasion is that the families need to get closure.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is an important step. But there's also going to be questions around how we prevent a repeat of something like this. And I wonder, where you reckon the gaps are. Is it a lack of legislation? Is it not enough people coming on board to play their part? Is it people still prioritizing these profits over people, as you've just mentioned? Where, from your perspective, are the gaps where we need to ensure there's tightening?
I think it's a cocktail of issues, but I think I need to caution against, apportioning blame into a certain space, where we blame the police, we blame the liquor board. I think this is an approach that required, all hands on deck, the community, society, liquor traders. In fact, we raise our hand to say that the large responsibility of what happened in Enyobeni lies squarely with the tavern owner. Because the tavern owner ought to have reasonably known that those people that were in his establishment were not of the right drinking age, but we tried to sweep this under the carpet and does not have the country to move forward. We need to come together with the police, with the liquor board, with the liquor traders and community leaders so that we can find a solution to ensure that we do not allow a repeat of such, because it was known a long time ago that, Enyobeni was flaunting the regulations, but nothing was done. So we need to be able to come together and trust each other that, we can take care of our communities, but that anyone who does not trade in accordance with the law, they ought to lose their licenses. We understand the 5,000 fine that was meted on the outlet, which we see as, a slap in the wrist. In fact, we're on record as saying that we regard what happened in Enyobeni as mass murder. It was not just, an incident that just happened, without anyone having done something to cause it. We feel that the actions of the outlet owner in that tavern actually caused the deaths of those 21 young souls that we're remembering today. So we need to be able to sit on the table with civil society, with the NGOs to find a lasting solution. But I think the problem that we have as a country is that we do not have a coherent strategy to deal with alcohol abuse. We do not have a document that sits either within social development or the police where we're able to say, right, now we have a plug-and-play approach in which we can target, hotspots of alcohol abuse, and we'll be able to come up with strategies to ensure that we deal with the issue of alcohol abuse in our country. But I think that the sooner we're able to come together and stop pointing fingers, I think we'll then find a step in the right direction in ensuring that we deal with the scourge of alcohol abuse in our country.
And more than that, I remember the Human Rights Commission saying that liquor boards in our country don't seem to have enough capacity to ensure that the licenses they issue are being complied with. And I wonder what the association's response to something like that is. Should we curtail the number of licenses being handed out so that at the very least, those outlets that are selling alcohol can be monitored?
I think it's easier, and it's maybe probably a shortcut approach to want to blame the capacity within the regulations as it sits within the liquor boards. But I think liquor trusts ought to take responsibility as well, because now we're dealing with the situation of Enyobeni because an outlet owner decided that he's going to put profits ahead of the lives and social welfare of our people. But we believe that, the stringent measures that are put in place for anyone to get a license in South Africa are strong enough. It is not easy to get a license in South Africa. It can take anything between a year and 3 years, of having to go through checks and balances to ensure that you get the licenses. Yes, we do admit that we might have a gap in terms of those that patrol or those that do checks in our outlet to ensure that there is compliance. But I think also the responsibility should lie well with the liquor traders that if you decide that you want to have a license, you ought then to have the right mentality that you're going to ensure that you stick to the regulations, that pertain to how you sell and serve alcohol in our outlet. So it's a combination of a lot of things, but I think the first step that we need to do as liquor traders is to take responsibility to say that this incident should not have happened if we did what we ought to have done.
Yeah, I hear you, but is it enough to leave it to the consciousness of those who hold these liquor licenses, given what we've seen take place? And what is not lost to us, of course, like, is that the Enyobeni Tavern is in the spotlight, but we know of many other instances where young people have been sold alcohol. Perhaps those are just not in the news because we haven't seen deaths at the scale, but what took place at Enyobeni is not unique. It's not an anomaly.
Yes, indeed. And we're the first to admit that the issue of selling alcohol to underage is not restricted to the incident that we're referring to today, but it continues to happen and across the country where we have rotten apples in our midst, those that continue to put the profits ahead of the lives of people who continue to maximize the profit and potential by selling alcohol to the minors. But what you are saying is, and we do not have a silver bullet, we do not have a solution as liquor traders. Hence, we are calling on stakeholders, within our space to ensure that we find a lasting solution as to what do we do to anyone that we catch selling alcohol to minors. But we feel that the regime that we have now in terms of the law, is so lenient that, having to sell to a minor, it doesn't discourage you because you just pay 5,000 fine and then you continue to do it again. What can we do? What can we put in place as far as the law is concerned and as far as how we work together with communities to ensure that we have a strong deterrent so that no one tries, to sell alcohol to those that are not supposed to be buying alcohol? I don't think at this current juncture we have strong measures in place to be able to curtail that.
Yeah, look, I mean, all kinds of solutions are being thrown out. I remember the Limpopo government had suggested that perhaps it's worth banning the sale of alcohol after midnight. You had expressed serious opposition to that. In fact, if memory serves, there was even threats of legal action. Did that happen?
Yes, we took them to court and they lost that case. But also, we must understand that the approach of Limpopo was not based on science. I think it was just based on some conversations that probably took place in the corridor of some MEC who decided that, if we close alcohol at 12 o'clock, it will ensure that people drink less, which is not the case. Because in South Africa, you've got 9 different liquor laws. So because we have 9 provinces, each and every province has got its own liquor law. So if you're going to close Limpopo at 12 o'clock, and you have the neighboring provinces which close at 2 o'clock, what people are going to do, they're just going to take a risk and drive into the nearest province to go and get alcohol. Then you increase the drink and drive spaces in that regard. So it was not a solution that was based on science. Hence, we rejected it, and the judge found in our favor.
All right, like Ntimane, we'll have to leave it there for now. Hopefully, we don't have another situation like we've seen take place at Scenery Park. But thank you for speaking to us nonetheless. Like Ntimane is the convener of the National Liquor Traders Association.